There's a word that Jujutsu Kaisen creator uses to describe Yuji Itadori, a word that fans argue about constantly. Bland. Gege Akatami called his own protagonist bland, and on the surface you can actually see why. He's not brooding like Sasuke, he's not obsessed with being Hokage, he's not perverted or loud or chasing some grand dream. He's just a good kid that wants to help people. But here's the thing about being bland. A blank canvas can become anything, and what Yuji becomes over 271 chapters is one of the most psychologically morally complex protagonists in modern anime. Today we're walking in Itadori's shoes, not as a hero, not as a vessel, as a boy that was given a simple mission by his dying grandfather, and then watched as the universe punished him for every single attempt to fulfill it. Let's get into it. Every protagonist has an origin moment. For Yuji, it's his grandfather's death. But like everything in Jujutsu Kaisen, even this isn't straightforward. On the surface, this seems so simple. Be strong, help people, don't die alone. But let's look closer into what Wasuke was saying. Wasuke spent his whole life alone. Yuji was the only one who ever visited him. In his final moments, he wasn't fulfilled. He was scared of dying without anyone there, scared that Yuji would also end up this way. But Yuji didn't hear it that way. He hyper-focused on one thing: help people. He took that phrase and centered his whole existence around it, not because he was naturally heroic, because avoiding guilt meant having a role, a purpose, something only he could do. Psychologically, this is fascinating. Yuji's grandfather unintentionally gave him a survival mechanism. If Yuji spends time doing anything other than fulfilling his role, he felt guilty. So he chases his purpose constantly, never stopping, never processing, just helps. Ask yourself, have you ever tied your worth to one single purpose? Felt guilty when you haven't fulfilled it? That's Yuji from page 1. Then comes the moment that defines everything. Megami is about to die. Yuji's friends are in danger, and there's a finger, a cursed object, that could give him the power to save them all. He eats it without hesitation, not because he's brave, because in his mind there is no other choice. This is what strong people do. They help, they sacrifice. But here's where it gets complicated. Yuji doesn't just gain power, he gains a death sentence. Gojo tells him straight, once he eats all 20 fingers, he'll be executed. Sukuna must die with him, and Yuji agrees immediately. Even if I could run away from my execution or from the mission, no matter what I do, it will still be there. I can't rest knowing people might die because of Sukuna. Think about that. A 14-year-old boy told he's going to be executed, and his first response is, okay, this isn't bravery. This is a kid who already doesn't value his own life enough to fight for it. When was the last time you accepted something unfair without question? When was the last time you decided your own life matters less than someone else's? Yuji does it constantly, and it's not healthy, it's tragic. Despite everything, Yuji finds moments of happiness, friends, purpose, and a place where he belongs. He's outgoing, talks about girls with big butts. He gets excited over training. On the surface, he's a normal teenager, but underneath, his philosophy is already forming. Megami challenges him early on. What would you do if someone you saved went on to kill people? This question haunts Yuji. Yuji believes in the value of every life. He believes that everyone deserves a proper death, a peaceful end at an old age, surrounded by a loved one. But the world of Jujutsu doesn't work like that. People die violently, randomly, senselessly. And the cruelest part, Yuji knows this. He knows that his philosophy is very fragile, but he holds on to it anyways, because letting go would mean admitting that his grandfather's words, the purpose he built his life around, might be wrong. Have you ever held on to a belief even though reality proved it wrong? Even when it hurts you? That's Yuji. Every single day. Then comes Junpei, a boy like Yuji in many ways, lonely, searching for purpose. Manipulated by Mahito, into believing curses are the answer. For the first time, Yuji isn't just saving someone, he's connecting. Junpei isn't a mission, he's a friend. Someone Yuji genuinely cares about. The opening animation even teases it. Junpei wearing the Tokyo Jujutsu High uniform alongside the main cast. It felt like a setup for a classic shonen arc. Yuji saves the trouble kid, brings him into the fold, and they fight together. Instead, Mahito kills Junpei brutally, grotesquely, and when Yuji begs Sukuna to help, just this once, the king of curses laughs at him. This is the first crack. The first time Yuji's worldview is violently shattered. He did everything right. He was kind, he was patient, he tried to save someone, and it wasn't enough. Have you ever lost someone despite doing everything right? Felt the universe punish you for caring? That's Yuji at Junpei's grave. And it's only the beginning. After Junpei, Yuji throws himself into missions. He needs purpose, needs to feel like he's still helping. And then he faces the death paintings. They are curses, right? Hybrids of humans and curses, but still curses. Yuji kills them without hesitation. That's what sorcerers do. But then Yuji watches Chozo, the eldest brother, grieve over their bodies, cry over their deaths, and Yuji realizes these weren't just curses, they were people with families, with love. He killed human beings. He failed in everything he set to achieve. And worse, Megami saved his life, and now Yuji has used that life to take others. Yuji doesn't say this out loud, he never does, but you can see it in his eyes, the guilt compounding, the weight growing. He's not processing any of it, he's just carrying it. Have you ever carried guilt you couldn't even share, pain you couldn't express? That's Yuji, always, silently. And then comes Shibuya, the night that breaks Yuji Itadori completely. In the span of a few hours, Yuji is brutally beaten by Chozo, watches helplessly as Sukuna uses his body to slaughter thousands of innocents, sees Nanami, his mentor, his pillar, burned to death, and witnesses Nobara, his best friend, get crushed by Mahito. Every single person who matters to him, gone or broken. Every single death somehow connected to him. Sukuna's prophecy for season 1, people will die because you are alive, comes true on a scale which he couldn't even possibly imagine. And then Mahito finds him broken, defeated, and delivers the most devastating psychological blow yet. I bet you thought you were going to do some pest control, or like defeating evil spirits in a legend. You are too naive, you stupid brat. This is war, and your fragile justice. You are me, Yuji Itadori. I kill without a second thought. Just like how you save people without a second thought. Mahito forces Yuji to see himself differently, not as a hero, not as a savior, just as a soldier on one side of the war. No better, no worse, just opposite. This is the moment where most protagonists would break forever, and Yuji almost does. But then Todo arrives, and Todo, the absolute madman, doesn't offer comfort, he offers truth. He tells Yuji, there's no such thing as a proper death. People die in cruel, senseless ways. Trying to look for logic and meaning within death can defile the memories of those who have been lost. And even so, as long as we live, our comrades who died aren't truly gone. We carry their mission with us forever. And Yuji gets up, not because he's healed, not because he's okay, because he has no choice, because the alternative is letting their deaths mean nothing. You were right, Mahito. I am you. I wanted to reject you, convince myself that you were wrong, but I can't. So I'll carry that too. I'll carry the weight of being like you, and I'll still choose to save people. That's what makes us different. This is the psychological turning point. Yuji stops trying to be pure, stops trying to be innocent, accepts that he's capable of killing, capable of darkness, capable of being like Mahito, and then he chooses to be something else anyways. That's not naivety, that's strength. True strength born not from ignorance of darkness, but from knowing it intimately and choosing light anyway. After Shibuya, Yuji isn't the same. He's quieter, more focused, The playful kid who talked about girls and movies is replaced by something harder. Then comes Higuruma, a lawyer turned scholar whose domain expansion creates a courtroom. He puts Sukuna on trial for the Shibuya massacre. And here's where Yuji surprises everyone. He could plead innocent, could blame Sukuna, could argue that he wasn't in control. Instead, he accepts responsibility. Yuji doesn't separate Sukuna from himself. He doesn't make excuses. He says, I am his vessel. His actions are my responsibility. This is growth, not the kind that makes you stronger, the kind that makes you heavier. Yuji adds more weight to his shoulder instead of setting it all down. Have you ever taken responsibility for something that you haven't done, something that wasn't your fault, felt the weight of others' actions on your back? That's Yuji, always, forever. And finally, the end. Sukuna in Megami's body, the king of curses at full power. Everyone Yuji loves, either dead or fighting besides him. Yuji has awakened. His heritage as Kenjaku's creation gives him abilities he never thought he had before. Blood manipulation, the ability to target souls directly. He's finally strong enough to fight Sukuna head on. But the most important moment isn't a punch. Before the final battle, everyone is gathered around Gojo, tense, scared. No one knows what to say. Yuji speaks first. The spell is interfering. It's a dumb joke, a reference to Gojo's own words, and Gojo laughs. The tension breaks and everyone can breathe. In that moment, Yuji isn't the strongest, isn't the smartest, isn't the most skilled. He's just the one who remembers that being human means laughing even when you're scared. And then when the battle ends, when Sukuna finally falls, Yuji is the one who did it, not with inherited power, with his fists, his soul, his unbreakable will. So what does Yuji Itadori teach us? What can we learn from the boy who carries the world? First, Yuji's biggest flaw, also his greatest strength. He carries everyone's pain, but he forgets to carry himself. You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself first isn't selfish, it's necessary. Second, Yuji is broken 100 times over. He never fully heals, he never gets over anything, he just keeps standing. Recovery isn't just about being okay, it's about being here. In a world that punishes kindness, Yuji chooses it anyways, not because he's naive, because he's seen the alternative and rejects it. Kindness isn't easy. It's the hardest fight there is. And fourth, Yuji accepts that he's capable of evil. He's like Mahito, he's like Sukuna, but he chooses differently. Every day, every moment. That's what makes him the protagonist. Not purity, choice. In the end, Yuji survives. Not because he was the strongest, not because he had special powers, because he refused to stop, refused to let the weight crush him. He carries scars, physical and emotional. He'll never be the carefree kid from chapter 1 again, but he's still here, still helping, still choosing kindness in a world that never rewards it. Yuji Itadori started as a bland protagonist, a blank canvas, and over the course of Jujutsu Kaisen, the world painted him with every color: joy, grief, guilt, rage, love, loss. He's not bland anymore, he's everything. And that's exactly what Gege Akatami intended. What weight are you carrying right now? What have you never put down? You don't have to carry it alone. Yuji Itadori is the heart of JJK, not because he's the strongest, because he feels everything and keeps going. Next week we're gonna be looking at the opposite sides of the coin. Megami Fushiguro, the boy who had everything and lost it all. And before you go, answer this in the comments. What weight are you carrying that you need to put down?